The smell of grilled burgers filled the backyard. I stood near the deck, holding a Bud Light, watching our host flip patties on his Weber. It was supposed to be a relaxing Saturday afternoon at a friend's house, just another suburban gathering. Good food, better company, no work, no drama. Then everything changed in an instant. "Stop acting like we're married." Her voice cut through the conversation like a knife. "You don't get a say in where I go or who I'm with." Every head turned. The grill master froze mid-flip. Conversations died. Even the neighbor's dog went quiet. My wife stood there, hands on her hips, face flushed, directing her fury at me like I'd insulted a stranger. All because I asked, calmly, if she planned to tell me where she was going when she said she'd be gone for the weekend. Silence stretched. Then a snicker. Then another. Half the party tried to hide their laughter behind their drinks. I felt every eye on me, waiting to see if I'd crumble, argue, or apologize like I always had. Something inside me clicked. Cold clarity. I smiled. Not the nervous laugh when you're dying kind of smile. A calm, almost amused smile that confused everyone. "You're absolutely right," I said, loud enough for the yard to hear. "We're not married." The laughter stopped. Faces froze. Even she looked stunned. I raised my beer to the host. "Thanks for the party. I'll be heading out now." Then I turned to her. "Enjoy your weekend. Take all the time you need to think." The walk to my car felt both long and light. I started the engine and drove home. By the time I pulled into our driveway, my phone buzzed. Friends from the party asked if I was okay. Her messages demanded an explanation. I ignored them all. I sat in the car and looked at the house we'd shared for 3 years. For months, she'd been treating me like an unwelcome guest. Every conversation had become a power struggle. Every suggestion, an attack on her independence. If she wanted to act single, fine. I made the call. "Can you be here by 8?" I asked the locksmith. "Sure thing. Standard lock change, front door, back door, garage." By 7:45, the locksmith pulled up. He nodded at me like he'd seen this 100 times. While he worked, I drove to Home Depot. 20 moving boxes, packing tape, bubble wrap. I packed carefully. Folded clothes, wrapped pictures, labeled each box, no garbage bags, no theatrics, professional, undeniable. The locksmith finished. New deadbolt, new handle, new keys she'd never touch. "These are solid," he said. "Nobody's getting in without your permission." I paid him cash and tipped generously. Next up, the attorney. I'd been collecting texts for months, screenshots where she called marriage a piece of paper, where she insisted independence mattered more than any commitment. The lawyer called it an admission against interest. He said he could have papers ready by Wednesday, file Thursday, serve by Friday. I signed. The divorce petition was thick, official, final. Tuesday, I packed her closet with military precision. Designer clothes, shoes I couldn't justify, makeup, books, yoga mat, throw pillows, everything boxed, labeled, and carried to the front lawn. I draped a tarp over electronics and arranged the stacks to be visible from the street. Neighbors watched. Mrs. Patterson across the street pressed her face to the window. Perfect. The more witnesses, the better. I knocked on Mrs. Patterson's door and told her, plain and simple, that my wife was moving out. She widened her eyes, nodded, and promised to tell anyone who asked that my wife had publicly declared she wanted to be single. Word traveled fast. I updated my social media, changed relationship status to single, removed pictures, blocked accounts. The attorney called. Papers were ready. He warned me she'd be angry. He told me not to engage. Refer her to his office. Friday afternoon arrived like clockwork. Her Honda rolled up at 6:47 p.m. She sat in the driveway, phone in hand, and stared at the neat stacks on the lawn. Her mouth fell open. She stormed up the path. "What the hell is this? Why is my stuff in the yard?" she shouted. She jammed the key into the lock. It didn't work. The color drained from her face. "Your stuff is where it belongs," I said, calm on the porch. Mrs. Patterson appeared and called out, sweet as sugar, "Are you looking for your husband?" She reminded my wife that she'd publicly said we weren't married. The words landed like a blow. "You can't kick me out," my wife cried. "This is my house, too." "It belongs to someone who believes in marriage," I replied. "You told everyone you weren't that person." She tried bargaining, pleading, the sudden tears. I'd heard it all before. The performance had a familiar timing. I wasn't buying it. The papers had been served. The locks had been changed. Her weekend of thinking had become a reality. Saturday night she called our families. Sunday she called me. I stayed silent. Monday morning she returned, pounding at the door. I opened it in pajamas, coffee in hand. She pushed past and demanded an explanation. I sat, sipped my coffee, told her the truth. I hadn't destroyed the marriage. She had. Her words, repeated in front of witnesses, had consequences. I showed her the texts, the ones where she'd said she never wanted to be tied down, the ones where she laughed about marriage being meaningless. She begged, "I love you." It sounded hollow. She wanted to come home. I shook my head. "You can't unsay what you said. You can't undo months of treating me like an inconvenience." She sobbed. I'd run out of sympathy for last-minute tears. The papers were filed. The house felt like mine again. 3 weeks later, I was at Applebee's, quietly eating a burger, when she walked in with friends. She tried to explain, but everyone remembered the barbecue. My buddy slid into the booth and said, "You handled it legend style. My wife even uses your story as an example of standing up for yourself." Life after was cleaner than I expected. The divorce finalized. The settlement straightforward. After publicly declaring the marriage meaningless, there wasn't much to argue about. The judge saw the texts. The attorney said spousal support was unlikely. I got the house, my peace, and my self-respect. My phone buzzed. A woman from the barbecue asked to grab coffee. "You seem like someone who knows what he wants," she wrote. I smiled. People mess up. Sometimes they don't understand consequences until those consequences land in their lap. For months, I'd been the guy who tolerated disrespect to keep peace. That man was gone. In his place was someone who knew his worth and wouldn't settle. She wanted me to stop acting like we were married. Mission accomplished. And it turns out being single suited me just fine. If you made it this far, please subscribe. It helps us out a lot. I've picked 2 other videos you'll probably like. Click one, and I'll see you in the next story.